Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I am your host Faisal Raza Khan and you are watching Foresight. Viewers, in 2015, Pakistan initiated a robust modernization and expansion program for its Navy, especially its surface and subsurface fleets. As the submarine program progressed, surface fleet enhancement also took pace. Pakistan Navy got 4 state-of-the-art 054 Alpha Papa Tughral class multi-role guided missile and air defense frigates from China, get into the major contract of latest Babar class Miljam corvettes, and signed a deal of highly maneuverable offshore patrol vessels from Netherlands. Pertaining to the national requirements, naval industrial growth also took fast pace, and not only Karachi shipyard and engineering works getting modernized, but also new shipyards in realization stage. Private sector getting on board to have local production, especially to have progress on Jinnah class frigates, corvettes and locally manufactured and produced offshore patrol vessels and so on. To talk on this very important subject of Pakistan's surface fleet enhancement, we have in our studios Vice Admiral retired Faisal LODHI. He has an illustrious career in Pakistan Navy and retired as a Vice Chief of Naval Staff. He is in our studios. Most welcome to you, Faisal. Thank you very much for your presence. And we have Rear Admiral Faisal Ali Shah. He is the Honorary Research Fellow with the National Institute of Maritime Affairs, NEMA. Most welcome to you, sir. Thank you very much for your presence as well. And online joining us, Rear Admiral MOAZZAM Ilyas, retired. He is the Maritime Strategist. Most welcome to you, MOAZZAM Sahab. Thank you very much for your time online. My first question to you, Faisal Rasool Sahab, that Pakistan Navy has a very extensive and robust modernization and expansion program unveiled in 2015. So, despite of several challenges, it was pursued vigorously. To what extent it's met its real target, and at what stage it is today?
Thank you very much, Faisal sir, for inviting us for this very important program, and a topic which is normally not, covered by our media. So thanks on behalf of the Navy.
It is our pleasure, sir, to have this topic really.
You mentioned very peculiarly the word challenges which we faced.
Yes. Yes.
So I find it to be unfair if I don't talk about the history a little before coming to
why not?
question.
Why not, please?
So challenges were always there since the inception of Pakistan in 1947. No doubt. We inherited only very small number of old vessels, less than 1/3 of the total inventory in the East India Company.
Obviously.
At the time of partition. So our predecessors took it on from there. And I'll like to quote Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah's first visit to a Pakistan Navy unit, Dilawar, in Karachi. And in his very historic and iconic address, which is a long address, there are 3 things which one can, focus and draw from that address. Of course, he started off with the importance of United Nations and how it played its part in the world affairs. But he concluded that you have to ensure your own national security. That was first cardinal of his address.
Definitely, that was the paramount.
Second was a very interesting one, in which he emphasized that the weak and defenseless in this imperfect world, I quote from his address, can only invite aggression.
No doubt about that.
And the best way we can serve the purpose of peace is to make ourselves strong enough to deter any aggression.
Obviously, obviously.
The third component was also very important, in which he said that you will have to make up for the smallness of your size with courage and selfless devotion to duty. for it is not the life which matters, it is the courage, fortitude and determination.
Obviously, no
in
doubt.
life.
No doubt.
I believe, having served in the armed forces in Pakistan Navy for 40 years, that Pakistan's military strategy at large has been governed by these directions of our Qaid, in which we have, over the decades, despite challenges, despite resource constraints, despite the very limited fiscal space armed forces got, have been able to preserve that level of strength which would radiate an effective deterrence to ensure national security amidst all challenges.
Very right.
Coming to your particular question, so our predecessors in the yesteryears, in previous 3 or 4 decades, have always been trying their best to craft a vision and then develop a force structure of Pakistan Navy and maintain it, which would enable us to take on all the mandated tasks effectively. And Alhamdulillah, despite all the challenges, they have been able to fulfill this aspiration.
Obviously.
Towards the national cause. In 2015, as you said, we were successful in negotiating and contracting a historic contract of 8 submarines, Angkor class, with China. And hopefully very soon they will be inducted in our inventory, and they will be able to add on very directly and contribute into our efforts for the national security.
Yes.
As far as the ships are concerned, it was always an aspiration of the Navy to have new ships. But frankly speaking, we could never have this much of fiscal space. And all our predecessors, the naval leadership has been always trying. I quote, in 90s, when the Americans took back their Brooks and Garcia class 8 ships on lease because of the political considerations. At that time, the naval leadership very wisely inducted 6 Type 21 ships
from Britain.
Yes. How they managed it, as a rough estimate without going into numbers.
Yeah, definitely it was a very difficult task, really.
I can tell you that they got 6 ships in the cost of 1 frigate, new frigate at that time.
Yes, yes.
So these were old ships.
Yes.
So we inducted them.
Took part in Falkland War and all that.
They were good ships.
Long history. Good ships.
Good ships, but old.
Yes.
But then we got it in the price. 1 ship was the price of 1/6 of a modern frigate at that time. And then we spent some more money, requested government, and they kindly approved it. And we retrofitted them with the new weapons and sensors.
Definitely.
Some indigenous, some Chinese, some from the Western countries. And those ships have served our maritime mission very effectively for close to 20 years.
Definitely. But just recently, Tariq was handed over to Britain as a museum. Faisal Ali Shah Sahab, when we are talking about, as Sir was talking very briefly into the history, no doubt that we have always the financial constraints, our economy is still fragile. But despite of that, it was amazing really, because most of the countries are just thinking about that their economy is just struggling, but the Navy is actually building up. So it's a beautiful scenario really, because we want our economy to progress, and Pakistan must have to attain new heights. But how much it's true that under modernization and expansion drive of Pakistan Navy, it intends to enhance its surface fleet to at least 50 vessels, and including 20 as a major surface vessels, the large ships, large tonnage ships. So how do you see that? How you see that to attain such a huge objective?
Thank you, Faisal sir, first of all, from my side also, for inviting us and affording us this opportunity to talk on a subject which is least talked about in Pakistan. You need to understand that any navy or any force has a force goal, that in what time frame, what should we be, how should we look like, what should be our capabilities, what should be the potential.
Yes.
And this equation is actually derived out of many factors, like the task, the objective, the mission in hand, the operational dictates, the fiscal capacity, and overall the environmental dictates. So what is the environment now? We need to read that precisely.
Obviously.
There's a great power rivalry going on, and Indian and Pacific Oceans are the focus of that. China came up with BRI, then US came up with Indo-Pacific strategy, which is a sea-based strategy. And in that strategy, basically, there are small alliances which are being formed in different parts of the world. So one alliance out of it, which affects us the most, is Quad, which has India in it. So India in this overall strategy is being epitomized as the
Pacific cum Indian Ocean.
Yeah, net security provider in Indian Ocean. So any edge to Indian military, Indian Navy, in terms of military capabilities, in terms of technology, in terms of economy, political, is a worrisome factor for Pakistan. So for Pakistan has to actually gear up, and Pakistan Navy has to gear up for the upcoming challenges which are coming in the form of Indo-Pacific strategy. But having said that, this equation of deriving a force goal is dynamic in nature. It is not stagnant. For instance, if we decide a number of ships or platforms that we require in such and such time frame, that may not remain so by the time we reach that time frame, because the environmental dictates might change. So it might enhance the number, it might reduce the number. It all depends upon the operational environment and the environmental dictates that a Navy is subject to.
Definitely, you are very right in that perspective, because net security provider, just it looks a vague term that pertaining to the stature of India, that how India is actually behaving in Indian Ocean. But you are absolutely right that we have to prepare ourselves for any threat which is coming up for that matter. Rear Admiral MOAZZAM Ilyas, as we are having this discussion, so what types of surface ships acquired or developed so far, especially when we are talking about 054 Alpha Papa, Tughlaq class multi-role guided missile air defense frigates, so called Yarmouk class OPVs, and Babur class MILGEM corvettes? How significant such procurements are right now pertaining to the strategic environment of the Indian Ocean and in Arabian Sea, what we are just foreseeing?
Thank you, Faisal. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak up. I'm sure that you have heard both the admirals, and when we talk about the inductions, the new procurements, we again have to see what capabilities do they bring to Pakistan Navy. I can tell you that 054 is the most, the ships 054 are the most competent or the most capable platform that we are inducting in the surface Navy of surface arm of the Pakistan Navy. And along with this ship, they bring a lot of firepower capability against the enemy in terms of surface-to-surface engagement as well as surface-to-air engagement. A capability that we needed by yesterday. There were some issues. There were issues related to availability of the systems from international market for Pakistan. Pakistan was, however, capable of using those equipment in war-like scenarios or operational scenarios. We were not, however, allocated or allowed to buy or procure those weapons. But 054 ships bring with them those surface-to-air capability which are very much needed for Pakistan Navy, especially in terms of surface ship operations. It also brings a very competent and very able underwater suite with it, and the underwater weapon systems, as well as some of the top-of-the-line and latest surface-to-surface missiles. So when I talk about 054, they will, inshallah ta'ala, form the backbone of Pakistan Navy for years to come. MILGEMs and OPVs are the second tier, I must say, although they also carry very potent weapon systems, but still they are probably the second tier I'll grade them as second tier. And they are very important for Pakistan Navy because Pakistan Navy had been involved in a number of operations, number of patrols with the coalition forces, without the coalition forces. We have been doing our RMSP, or the Regional Maritime Security Patrols, all by ourselves in the Western Seaboard, in the Strait of Hormuz, as well as Strait of Aden. And we have been able to complement the maritime security for the international shipping to ply through these areas with comfort and with the assurance that there are powers which can undertake their operations in a secure and safe environment.
Absolutely right, because Pakistan has an ample experience when we are talking about combined task forces and all that. Vice Admiral Faisal sir, how much Pakistan's current surface fleet with new inductions capable of detecting and defending against adversaries, ballistic and supersonic missiles or submarine attacks in a rapidly changing strategic environment, especially during war times? How much robust these are?
I think, as Admiral MOAZZAM also emphasized, these are brand new ships, both the classes, the type 054 as well as MOAZZAM. 054 is...
At least most of the naval chiefs and officers' wishes come true, because we have lots of
all those visions of yesteryears which I was referring to, actually.
Yes.
But the strategy which has been guiding us has been threefold, if you ask me. First was because we never had that fiscal space which our adversaries do have even today. Even today, if you ask me, the Indian naval budget is more than your entire defense budget.
Obviously.
They had about 8 billion last year, financial year. This year, your defense budget is only 6 billion.
Yes.
So it's no match, actually. But in warfare, if you focus more on acquisition of force multipliers, the platforms or assets which would create disproportionate effects when needed.
That's more important, really.
Then quality over quantity has been a principle of Pakistan Navy and all the three armed forces, their strategy. And then in nutshell, buy more for less and indigenize wherever you can,
obviously,
with whatever capabilities you have. So these driving factors actually led in 2017-18 time frame when we got that fiscal space, our projects were ready, we had very lengthy negotiations. I was fortunate to be part of the central teams who negotiated these contracts in 2018, and with very well negotiated cost as well as the TOT,
transfer of technology,
we were able to conclude these contracts. So these ships are very capable. As said before, for the first time on the seaboard, we had acquired a very, very effective medium to long range surface to air capability, which could cater for the incoming raids of the aircraft as well as the incoming missiles.
Even underwater capability.
Now, underwater capability we already had.
Yes.
These ships have augmented that. But central to our underwater anti-submarine capability is our air units, the P3Cs and ATRs and other aircraft. And we have seen a demonstration time and again that whenever the enemy submarines have tried to infringe into our waters, they have been detected.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that. Rear Admiral Faisal sir, what about strengthening the surface ship support mechanism when we are talking about, because force multiplier is no doubt about that. But when we are talking about support, we need mine countermeasure vessels, the gun and missile boats, like we have fast attack crafts as well, amphibious operation vessels as well. So that gives us a real package to have a surface fleet which is more of capable of doing real-time defense of the country's maritime affairs. So how do you see that?
Actually, You see that naval operations or naval strategy is executed through number of operations at different levels.
Obviously, yes.
So although
No
ships form the mainstay of Navy and they are the main thrust of Navy, whatever objectives and missions that Navy has are to be carried out primarily by the ships, but they are to be supported by the force multipliers, as Admiral Faisal Lodhi has mentioned. So minesweeping operations, littoral operations, air operations, underwater operations, they are all supporting one objective that the ships are leading.
Yes,
actually.
yes.
So you see that Pakistan Navy has been constructing fast attack crafts, gunboats by itself, but now we have actually shifted ourselves to bigger platforms, construction of bigger platforms, which is a phenomenal change and phenomenal capability.
And we have already demonstrated regarding the fleet tanker and all that. We have already demonstrated.
But this, if I may inject, this was a breakthrough with regards to the MOAZZAM acquisition.
Yes,
we negotiated successfully the acquisition of proprietary rights of the design of these ships. That was for the first time.
Okay.
And hence, two were to be made in shipyard, Karachi shipyard. Two are to be made in Turkey. One of them has arrived Pakistan yesterday.
Yes, definitely yesterday.
And I think in some time
it's going to be inducted soon, inshallah. Yes.
The fifth ship, the contract for the fifth ship, which is Jinnah class, first Jinnah class frigate, indigenously designed by our teams.
Yes.
The teams which got training from the Turks in these last 3 to 4 years will also be constructed in
I'm coming to that ambitious project as well. So the next question is actually related to that, and that was about the future plans, indigenous production of the huge tonnage ships like Jinnah class frigates, offshore patrol vessels. What about even the possible acquisition of 055 destroyers from China? Because there are lots of discussion going on at the Chinese media on that, because that is not open to open source to all. But the things are there. So how do you see that? Because that ultimately gives a lot of boost to 054 as well. And when we are talking about force multiplier, so it means that it is going to realize that dream as well?
Well, this is, of course, the aspiration of the current leadership. You can say 055, which you are referring to, is actually a very potent platform.
Yes, it
is.
It's
one of the, regarded by Chinese and some others as one of the best destroyers.
Yes.
People compare it with the Arleigh-Burke, US Navy's Arleigh-Burke destroyers.
Because it has lots of resonance there in Pacific Ocean.
It's 12,000 tons. It's much bigger.
Yes.
And since it is bigger, it can house more weapons.
Obviously.
It has 112 VLS as per the open media.
Yes.
And vertical launch system. And it is very effective against incoming ballistic missiles as well.
Obviously.
So, but its cost is not going to be less than $2 to $3 billion.
That's the issue.
If you ask me as an expert, rough price is not, and the access to that ship as well. So if you can get it negotiated for us, we will be very glad to.
I love to negotiate it, but I also need money for that.
This also this remains part of our I think aspiration to develop such a capability.
That's
and as I was telling you that
about the Jinnah class
Pakistan frigate, in the Jinnah class frigate, maximum number of equipment, sensors, and some weapons will inshallah be indigenous.
That's great.
And our organizations which are working for day and night for the defense equipment, they have actually achieved a number of milestones in last few years.
That's great. We'll talk about later. Faisal Ali Shah sir, do you think that to supplement growth and naval modernization and expansion efforts, steps are must to modernize the naval defense industry at the public and private sector, as well as the swift steps required to enhance design, as Faisal Lodhi was saying, and production and integration work?
Okay.
How do you see that?
I think Admiral Lodhi has partly answered that question in his
if briefly you tell us about that.
But I would like to tell you that any military industrial complex should be a good mix and match of public and private entities.
No doubt about that.
Okay, because more so this shipbuilding industry, because it's a huge project, it's a huge adventure, and in that you require so many things. On if you visualize a ship, you have metal, you have wood, you have fiber, you have electronics, you have gadgets, you have machinery, you have mechanical parts, you have cabling, you have piping, you have so many things. So one entity alone cannot actually do all these tasks. So you have to outsource so many things to other entities, especially in the private domain. Unfortunately, in Pakistan, the private industrial base is not that strong. But with the TOT that we have had now, it's going to affect not only the public sector but also the private sector. Why? Because in addition to the latest technology that you are getting hands-on experience on this latest technology. Your human resource development is taking place, skill development is taking place, and this basically resource is going to be retained with you, which you can further multiply, reinvigorate, innovate, and come up with new concepts and solutions for the challenges that
one of the beautiful thing is that Karachi Shipyard and Engineering Works, that is actually imparting on-job skills to the workers as well, and that's the great thing really. So MOAZZAM Ilyas, what about large-scale industrial participation through shipbuilding and like Karachi Shipyard and Engineering Works, and also the small-scale provisions of inputs such as subsystems and munitions? How you see that?
Well, I think it is very, very pertinent question, Faisal, and the participation of industries in the shipbuilding and force development is a must. Pakistan has been very keen on this subject. Pakistan Pakistan Navy has almost, harbored Karachi Shipyard and Engineering Works for the last about 4 decades. There was a time when the government was talking about privatizing this industry because it was not making enough of profit as a state-owned enterprise, and Pakistan Navy strongly rejected that proposal because shipbuilding becomes a very, very strategic industry. So my answer to your question will be in 2 parts. One is the Karachi Shipyard part, and the other is the private industry capacity and their role. For the Karachi Shipyard, I think Karachi Shipyard is very well equipped to ensure that Pakistan Navy is supported through its shipbuilding capacity, ship repair capacity, and at the moment almost all types of Pakistan Navy ships.
Sir, if you just add into that the synchro lift, ship lift and transfer facility,
SLTs,
which was recently employed there in Karachi Shipyard and Engineering Works, because that has given a leap forward to the shipyard, because earlier, because of the lack of this facility, there were lots of issues and the delays in its orders. Now Pakistan, this important shipyard is having the facility available, and large tonnage ships and even the submarines, destroyers, fleet tankers, we can have that facility available there in Karachi Shipyard now.
Absolutely, you're right. Karachi Shipyard had a typical problem. It did not have space to further expand itself and develop itself into a larger shipyard catering for the merchant ship building as well as the warship building. So what it did was that because it only had 2 docks of a limited capacity up to 25,000 tons, it installed the synchro lift ship and transfer system with, if I'm correct, I think it has 12 bays for the ship's repair and ship construction. So now what can be done is almost 12 ships plus 2 ships in the older docks. They can be repaired, constructed simultaneously in Karachi Shipyard. So Karachi Shipyard is currently very well equipped to undertake shipbuilding through the orders, through the contracts which Admiral Lodhi was just referring to, the transfer of technology that has also been associated in those contracts. that technology, transfer of expertise has been shifted to Karachi shipyard. So Karachi shipyard...
At the national level, MOAZZAM sir, we acknowledge that there is ample and urgent need to have another shipyard and a huge shipyard at Gwadar port particularly. Land is there, land acquisition was already there. So how do you see how we are going to realize that shipyard there at the scene, because the terrain and everything is absolutely perfect for shipyard over there?
Faisal, there is no denying the fact that shipyard at Gwadar is a necessity and was a necessity for the last, I don't know, maybe about 10 to 15 years. There are issues still currently with the availability of land at Gwadar, but this project which I am heading is related to establishment of that shipyard at Gwadar with a capacity of building commercial ships up to 600,000 tons, which are super VLCCs and ULCCs. We will be actually targeting the market, the global market that has an immense potential for Pakistan, almost to a tune of about 800 billion US, of which we are not getting at the moment, not even 0.5% of that share. And with the shipyard that we foresee coming up at Gwadar, we will be actually able to tap that market and bring a lot of foreign exchange and revenue for Pakistan's economy, as well as the turnover of the human resource and the other industries, because I believe that shipyards are harbinger for a number of other industries to establish. So
Ilyas, you are absolutely right. Very well elaborated. Rear Admiral Retired Faisal Sahab, Vice Admiral Faisal Sahab, because lots of Faisals under one roof. So Pakistan has got some exceptional successes when it comes to in terms of the extent of the research and all other aspects. Some of the organizations like Navy Research and Development Institute and the Platform Design Wing and others, how much they are successful in achieving the desired results, and whether the linkage with industry, academia, joint ventures with international partners, the tech advancements of the complete indigenization, how do you see that these organizations, whether how much robust they are in their working?
I think that's precisely the purpose for which these organizations were established a few years back at different time frames. And whatever you have highlighted, these organizations are effectively involved, both the Platform Design House and the NRDI, in the same kind of applied research. They are linked with academia because they are situated in PNS Johar, if you have heard of it.
Yes, definitely.
That's our university in engineering college in Karachi. So they are situated there, and the faculty from the university and the officers who are there, more than I think 20 to 25 PhDs right away in these two organizations working there. Some specialize in weapon engineering, some specialize in ship construction, and so on and so forth. So they are hand in glove with the academia, and it is with this vision these organizations were established and situated and located in that position. They are also trying their best to explore and engage with the local market. Okay. The private partnership which you were referring to, there has been some success, not what one would like to have, to that scale. But I think with passage of time, there is more awareness, both on our side and in the private companies' side, that yes, this defense technology and their development has a huge potential for public-private partnerships, and in future, this is the way to go.
Yeah, definitely it is very important, because ultimately it gives one economic dimension as well, because if you enhance your defense production locally, that will help you boost your exports as well. Yeah. So you can earn billions of dollars out of that.
In many of the modern equipments, even the radars and electronic support measures, which we have indigenously developed over the years, many components we have been able to get commercial off the shelf.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
through the private companies, and they have become our reliable sources.
Yeah, definitely. We have seen it in the different naval exhibitions.
About the shipyard, you did a very brilliant program few weeks back, I think few days back, and
yeah, definitely. It was on
just one
recycling
point
as well. And
just one point I want to highlight what Admiral MOAZZAM was saying. I just want to add a little to that. That with Gwadar port coming up as central to the CPEC, I think establishing the premise for establishing a shipyard has now become more strong than than before.
No doubt. So, Faisal Ali Shah Sahab, as Sir has already elaborated, Pakistan is blessed with huge youth potential. We have huge youth bulge. Whether Navy or its subordinate or other entities, private entities even, affiliated with different organizations in Navy, trying to get that talent on board to realize the dream of becoming self-reliant and develop indigenous capabilities to design and build and operate surface ships, because that is very important, that at the same pace Pakistan Air Force is actually working. So how do you see that aspect of youth?
Youth, we have a youth bulge, everybody accepts that, and it should actually be our strength. Unfortunately, it's seen as a burden because we have not charted a strategy for them to reach a point of success. But Pakistan Navy has been playing its role to actually optimize this youth bulge as much as possible and attract them towards us. So there are so many plans and programs that Pakistan Navy runs. First of all, it's the awareness that needs to be created.
Obviously.
So Pakistan Navy conducts every year a maritime security workshop at Lahore, in which people, Marsu, people and representatives of different fields of life participate, and they are imparted with the awareness on maritime domain.
But the Navy has also a program with National University of Science and Technology as well to get highly qualified youth from that area and to induct them into different organizations.
Yes, I'm coming to that. Our Naval Engineering College is affiliated with NUST.
Definitely.
So the students in Naval Engineering College, both in uniform and civil, the graduating students, they are given projects which are actually Navy specific or maritime specific. The problems that Navy is facing, they need to come up with the solutions for that problem. So that is also helping us out very well. Then Admiral Lodhi has mentioned about the NRDI, Naval Research and Development Institute. Its sole purpose is to carry out research and development for the naval affairs, and whatever problems we have, they need to find out the solution through research and development. Obviously, they can't do it alone. So they have a strength of good human resource, but they are interacting with the private entities outside, and they have a lot of success in that also.
You're quite well taken. Rear Admiral MOAZZAM Ilyas, pertaining to the modern warfare and cutting edge technologies, what about the surface fleet's critical synchronization with other naval arms, especially when we are talking about the coastal defense, the submarine force, naval aviation, especially unmanned aerial vehicles, because this is the today's warfare scenario, and also its integration with the sister services, particularly Air Force, because Air Force, one of the specialized squadron, which is might be the number 8 squadron, if I'm wrong, please correct me, number 8 squadron, which is primarily dedicated for the maritime role. So how do you see that this integration with the sister services and within the force to have multiple results in case of any sort of a worse scenario?
Again, Faisal, thank you so much. Again, very, very pertinent question, because the more weapon systems, the more sensors, the more war-fighting equipment that you bring in to a battle space, you need to network it, because this is what modern warfare is all about. The best integrated systems and best integrated sensors will give you the best result against the incoming threat or against the threat environment where you are operating. Pakistan Navy, I'm sure you understand, we have realized this importance. on a number of occasions. We know that it is in our interest to make our platforms and our weapons systems well integrated into the coastal surveillance systems, coastal weapon systems, as well as with the sister services. And in the sister service, it is in particular the Air Force and number 8 squadron that you did refer to. I think we have come a long way in improving the integration processes. The pitfalls that we used to face in the earlier days have all, or most of them, have been removed. The command picture, the surface picture that we have at sea can be and is made available to the Air Force headquarters, as well as the air picture of the airspace above our area of interest is available at the Naval headquarters. So we are...
Absolutely right, MOAZZAM sir. We have run short of time, so very last question, Vice Admiral Faisal LODHI sir. How much strengthen Pakistan Navy's surface fleet after new inductions to thwart any sort of challenges at sea, particularly to attain maritime security, protect economic interests, as we have the 90% of the trade from sea, sea lanes from hostile attacks, when we have seen the Suez Canal attacks, and we have the Houthis on different merchant ships. So piracy and curb narcotics and human smuggling, because Pakistan is very actively engaged with the international navies as well in the CTF 151, 150, along with that lots of coalition and its indigenous maritime patrol. So how do you see that aspect, because how much strengthen these platform Pakistan Navy?
I think your questions are not only pertinent but full of knowledge about the naval warfare.
It's your compliment, really.
Yeah, I think we should induct you in the Navy before anyone else. But I think with these ships and their capabilities have significantly enhanced Pakistan Navy's capability to effectively perform its mission. And if you break down our mission in 2 or 3 points, the first and the foremost is comprehensive deterrence and the Navy's contribution into that. So with the kind of capabilities these ships have brought in and will bring in, and the submarines when they come, Angkor class as well, I think the level and scale of our contribution will enhance very emphatically in times to come. It has already enhanced with the induction of the initial lot of the ships as well. Then the ability to perform maritime security operations, which is a obligation which Navy continues to perform silently as we are.
Yes, it is.
Round the clock, 365 days a year.
No doubt.
So naturally, we were performing the same functions and are contributing into the global community's efforts in the Indian Ocean and beyond for the maritime security and anti-piracy operations with 8 or 10 ships. Now with like 20 or so, we will be able to more effectively perform.
Definitely, you are absolutely right, and thank you very much for your very candid discussion, very elaborative. So nice of you, because we have run short of time. I'm so sorry for that, because this is very important, very fruitful discussion. I want to enhance it, but unfortunately we have very short time. Thank you very much for your presence in the studios. Thank you very much, Faisal. Thank you very much for your presence as well. And MOAZZAM Ilyas, thank you very much for your presence online. Viewers, as you have just listened to our panelists, very seasoned, very senior fellows from Pakistan Navy. Pakistan Navy got very pertinent strength when it comes to the platforms from China, from Turkey, from Netherlands, and these have not only multifold given strength to Pakistan Navy, but also to Pakistan as well. There is enough confidence we have now that we are going to develop indigenous large-scale, large tonnage ships in Pakistan, and it is going to be realized soon, because Pakistan Navy modernization drive is aligned with its anti-access area denial strategy, which aims to deny the enemy access to Pakistan's maritime territory and limit their freedom of action. That is very important, very pertinent. New advancements will no doubt supplement and transform Pakistan Navy into a robust force and capable of effectively defending the nation's interests, not only in Indian Ocean, but also in Arabian Sea. This is all from today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.